Welcome to the Bunny Hole, where anything goes. Travel with me and guests as we hop through this thing called life, one day at a time. Greetings, beautiful people, and welcome to the third episode of the Bunny Hole. Thank you guys for joining me again. I greatly appreciate it. I am your dope-ass host, Qween Tee. Cutie. I said I wasn't gonna put my hands in it because I didn't get my nails done, but you know, it's coming. I promise. The next one, they're gonna be done. Fierce, okay? On today's episode, we are going to discuss the different effects of psychedelics and weed. I've been smoking weed since a senior in high school. During college, it became to the point where I was smoking weed every single day, sometimes a couple times a day. And I've never seen a problem with it. I remember at one point, my sister saying that they wanted to send me to, I think when the show, what's the show that's out? It comes, anyway, and it's like the people who are like addicted to methamphetamines and, you know, just harder drugs. And my sister was like, see, I think you should go on there because you're addicted to weed. I'm like, what? Like, what? You can't be addicted to weed. And anybody who smokes weed will tell you that. You can't be addicted to weed. We just smoke because why not smoke? Or because I enjoy being high, or all the reasons that we give as to why we smoke every single day. It has been such a major part of my life that I've gotten so comfortable with it that it's also been like a social tool, right? Because as I told you guys on the first episode, I am extremely socially awkward. And so weed has been like the buffer with meeting people when I'm out. And so I'll tell you guys later on that I've taken a break from it. And it makes it a lot harder for me to socialize, right? But then it doesn't. So it's like a catch-22. Like, I socialize better because I'm not high in my head all the time, but it's also like it's not like, hey, I got a blunt, you want to smoke? And then you just, you know, you make friends. Like, hey, I got weed. You smoke? I got weed, you know? So weed. Over 20 years of smoking every single day. However, I had been... Actually, let me not even jump to the psychedelics real quick. I'm going to share with you guys. I remember the exact date. Let me not even act. It was January 31st. My partner had been telling me probably for like the last year that every time I smoke, I turn into a zombie. And I've heard more times than not that when I smoke, I don't look like myself. And from what I hear, it's a lot of people who've heard the same thing. Like, we take on a different look when we're high. And but she's been like, you look like a zombie when you're high. You look like a zombie. You act like a zombie. You're a shell of yourself. And it was quite annoying because previously I've been like, listen, you met me smoking. I'm going to smoke before you. I'm going to smoke with you. I'm going to smoke after you. So either take it, love it, leave it, or leave me. You know, it's been that real as it pertains to weed. But on January 31st, I had probably gone a month without smoking at that time. And my cousin had given me some trees. And so I was like, you know, I'm finna smoke. And so I remember her being like, you're excited, ain't you? And I'm like, yeah, man. Like, it's been a month. I'm finna smoke. So I'm like talking her ear off, just extra excited about it. And I'm rolling up and stuff. I'm like, oh man, I'm finna, you know. And so I hit the blunt. I might have hit it like 2 or 3 times. And as soon as I got high, I put it out because I'm high now, and it don't take a lot because it's been a month, so I've kind of detoxed. I put the blunt out, and I'm stuck, right? Like, I'm stuck. Now, mind you, it's at night too, so okay, but I'm stuck, like, duh, you know. And she's like, hey, so you wanna paint? You wanna, you know, she's listing all of these things, inquiring if I'm interested in doing them, and all of them. I'm like, I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to do none of that. Like, I'm high. I just want to chill right now. So at this point, she's trying to like start a conversation, but I am unable to respond. Like, it's not that I don't hear her or that I am not listening. It's just I am so high that I'm in my head, like I'm in my own head, and I can't verbalize what I'm thinking, right? And and so she's like, well, this is kind of awkward. Like, I'm sitting here talking to you, and so anyway, you guys, I'm giving out a whole long drawn out story, and let me cut it short. Long story short, I then seen the zombie like mode that I was in. Like, I felt it myself. Like, it was almost like I was so high that I was stuck. And we talk about being stuck, that I couldn't respond or talk or really do anything except for sit there. And I was like, this is what she's been talking about this whole time, like this zombie-like state. And so in that moment, like, tears are running down my eyes. Like, it's like I don't have any control of it. Like, I'm crying. And so then I'm like, it dawns on me that for like 20 years, I've been sedating myself, because that's how I felt in that moment. I was too high to riot. Shout out, boss. Okay. But no, I was too high to move, to do anything. And so again, it was just like, it just made sense, man. And like I say, I think I cried because I remember, in my younger years, I remember like my aunt and my grandma and everyone being like, we don't care that you smoke. We just want you to get to where you're going first. And I'm like, okay, I'm finna roll this blunt up. But it again, and everything just came like full circle. And I'm just like, oh my God, for 20 years, I've been getting high every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, and wondering why I've not reached my peak as far as like my momentum or success or my follow through. You know what I mean? So that's my journey with weed. In the same breath of me telling you guys this, I still battle with that journey, like current day. It's crazy, right? Like with that whole, oh, I'm sorry, I left out a really vital point. I had 2 panic attacks. I've never had a panic attack in my life. That night, January 31st, where I realized what weed had been doing to me, I had 2 panic attacks, okay? Back to back. Like, I think it was just crazy for me to realize the hold or the chokehold that it had on my life, and still do, if I'm being completely honest. And like I say, in the midst of me telling you guys this stuff, I got some trees now that I'm like, I'm not gonna roll, you know what I mean? And for any of you who know me personally, y'all know, like, I am a smoker. Like, I've been my entire life. Like, in college, that's what I was known for. So yeah, like, there is a such thing as being addicted to weed. And I thank goodness that addiction didn't, transpire into something larger, because for some it has. Like, I don't really drink, I'm not into that. However, I was always interested in trying psychedelics, right? So I have a couple stories about my experiences with psychedelics. The first one I'm going to share with you, and everyone is like, what the fuck? I accidentally tried DMT for the first time in like 2014. And I know you're like, how do you accidentally try DMT? So I was completely unaware of what DMT was, had never heard of it, had never seen it. It was never mentioned. And one of my coworkers was like, hey, I got this drug. And I was like, don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. I promise you I'm not this way with all drugs. But they were like, you want to try it? And I'm like, what is it? Like, what is it? And he told me, and I'm like, it ain't no meth or crack or coke or nothing like that, right? It ain't. And you're like, nah, but it was in a powder form. So at this point, I'm still like, very not skeptical. I'm very skeptical. But I like Google it right then on the spot. And again, I told you it was the powder form. So we roll it in a blunt, and it was me, him, and his brother, who I had never met. So everybody, when doing any type of psychedelic or experimental drug, if you will, that you're not familiar with, I definitely advise that you be in a comfortable setting, a comfortable situation with people who you trust. And that is a major part of if the trip is going to go well or if it's going to go south real quick, right? So that's that. So anyway, I go to his house. He rolls it up in the blunt. It's me and him. I'm comfortable with him. It's his brother. Never met his brother. Just seen his brother trying an experimental drug. Okay, boom. So we roll it. So we're sitting. I'm going to tell you guys this whole story because it was awesome. Okay. So we go out to the patio. We smoking the blunt. Well, first he was like, we should sit down. So we all sit down. Then he was like, no, we should stand up. So we all stand up. And so at this point, they're like, nah, we should sit down. And I'm like, y'all doing too much. I'm just going to stand. Just hand me the blunt. Boom. So they sit and I'm standing. They hand me the blunt. I hit that shit like 1 or 2 times. And it's like gravity pushed my ass down. Like whop, right? So at this point, I done slid against the wall and I'm sliding down and it's heavy. And again, this is only 1 or 2 hits of the DMT. And then all of a sudden, what is that movie? Is it Avatar? Yes, Avatar. Everything around me starts looking like the Avatar, but with 3D glasses and those bright, vivid colors. And those two turned into like Gumby. Like, I don't know if you're old enough, you know who Gumby is. They turned into like Gumby characters. They look like themselves, but Gumby versions, but everything else was Avatar. And it was amazing. And then I realized that I just tried this experimental drug with a homie and his brother who I don't know. And then I went into panic mode and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm a girl and I'm in the room with two. Oh. So that's one thing. Make sure you're in a comfortable setting with people you know, love and trust, or at least just know, you know. So that was a bit much for me. So it went from being this amazing, beautiful experience to me being afraid because who the hell is this dude? I don't know this dude. What if he got ill intentions? How does he act when he's high? It went bad really quickly. And I couldn't even walk. So again, that was a whole thing. Like I'm like crawling because I can't tell myself to stand. Like it's like my brain was not computing stand up, right? It was a whole thing. But definitely an experience I would still try again, just in the right settings, okay? So that was DMT. And it was amazing, okay? Amazing. But I have since fell in love with psychedelics as a whole. DMT is a psychedelic, for those of you who don't know. From what I hear, it's like, from what I've researched, it's like the creme de la creme of psychedelics. On a level underneath that, and again, this fluctuates based on who you ask or who you talk to, you have magic mushrooms. I find that in the Black community, a lot of people think that magic mushrooms are like not something that we do, right? And that's so unfortunate because they are life-changing if you allow them. So let me tell you. So 2 years ago, I stumbled across some magic mushrooms. I think the first time I tried maybe 2 grams, and it was life-changing. It was mind-blowing. And we're gonna reference this throwback video of that time. Like this video that I'm about to show you guys happened 2 days or maybe a day after my first time ever tripping. Happy people cannot be controlled. Period. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Happiness is freedom. Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Most of us are not happy, which is why most of us are easy to be manipulated and controlled by the masses, or keeping up with the Joneses, or whatever society is leading us to go, because we're not happy. So they are able to sneak into the crevices of insecurities with commercials, with social propaganda, with social media, with the news, with everything that we would basically propaganda of all kinds, with billboards. All of these are able to make their way in again to the crevices of insecurities to make you feel like you are not enough. And because you are not enough, you are always searching for something more. Because you're always searching for something more, the same people that are feeding you the fact that you are less than are also going to provide you with the cure that's going to make you feel like you are whole. And it is a vicious cycle that most of us are unaware that we are in. Therefore, we get ate up. And we are miserable. That was a mouthful, right? Very depressing, right? But here's the thing. I started off with saying happiness. Happiness. True happiness. Not materialistic, not superficial happiness, but true happiness is freedom. So, as y'all see in that video, I did not know what I knew now in regards to psychedelics and or weed, right? That was just me like mumbling or flowing, if you will, about just the experience that I had while tripping. Because, so let me say this. Referencing the old video, I was telling you guys that happiness is freedom, which is so true, right? And I still stand on that. Like, happy people cannot be manipulated. And the current society that we live in, that may be a podcast for another day, but they are for sure manipulating the people based on our lack of happiness, i.e. lack of freedom. And I'm not going to go too deep into that. So that's a whole nother bunny hole for another podcast episode. Hopefully you guys check in. But yeah, so psychedelics, right? Or magic mushrooms, rather. And with magic mushrooms, since that experience 2 years later, I have grown a wealth of knowledge as it pertains to not only like the different strains and what they yield, as well as just the all around benefits that psychedelics or more specifically magic mushrooms offer. So like if you take microdosing, right, that is currently being studied in different colleges and stuff, and in a couple of states it's actually legal, like just shrooms itself. But if you microdose them, which is less than a gram, it is enough to completely change your mood, like and make you happy and boost your esteem and help with PTSD and depression. And that's less than a gram. And it has all of these healing benefits to your mental, which in the world that we're living in, with everybody being depressed, unhappy / not free because of their lack of happiness, you have this naturally grown plant, fruit, whatever, that is like the antidote to that. And it's crazy that it's not legal because it's not crazy because we know the government we have, but it is naturally grown, right? Like under cow shit when it's grown in its organic state. So like, not only do they help with your mental and emotional health, they allow people to become in touch with themselves. Like mind blowing, mind blowing. Okay. Since partaking in shrooms on a more regular basis than I did 2 years ago, because that was the first experience we just showed, I think that it has aided me in being able to cut back on weed. Now, like I told you guys earlier, I had a whole panic attack, 2 panic attacks, when I realized the chokehold that weed had on me. And like I say, I'm still struggling with it. Like, I would be lying to you if I told you that since coming to that conclusion that I've been able to just be like, fuck weed. Now, I did for like a month, because this was January to December. No, hold on, I'm going backwards. My bad. January, February. Okay, so it's been like 2 months, kinda, you know? Um, but even that is the longest that I've ever been in my adult life. Not even my adult, the longest I've ever been since starting to smoke weed, period. Like I've never gone this long without it, ever, since 17. Never. And I mean, that's crazy. And I know like back in the day, it was like a whole thing, like, you know, being able to smoke every day was like a thing of like, you got it. Like, you got it. And I guess that shit just resonated with me. So even when I ain't have it, I'm going to have me some weed. You know what I mean? Um, it's just, it's crazy, the chokehold. I'm going to keep saying the chokehold because, yeah, man. And currently I'm battling, if I'm being honest, with me knowing the positive effects that shrooms and psychedelics could have on my emotional and mental health, and like taking them right on a regular basis, because again, like I told you guys, less than a gram could be used to treat PTSD, depression, anxiety, like you name it, and it's called microdosing. um and even knowing that, I still would prefer to roll up a blunt. So it's crazy. I'm going to explain to you guys my first trip, which is random, but not really. So during 2 years ago when I had this trip, so that the clip that I showed you previously, that was a couple of days after. So that was like a lasting effect that it had, where I just wanted to sit and talk about like how the weed we're smoking is not the same weed that our grandparents smoked, and how all the things that I'm telling you guys I'm experiencing as far as my addiction to marijuana or weed, trees, like how I am fully aware of what's happening, but still unable to jump off the train, which is crazy. And knowing that I could partake in mushrooms, which, if I'm being completely honest, okay, let me just be honest, they fucking taste horrible. Like, not like a little bad, I mean like fucking horrible. Like, after I've taken them and my trip is over, the next day I can think about it and I'm still just, you know what I mean? Like, so that's a major reason why I don't do it, if I'm being completely honest. The taste is almost unfathomable. Is that a word? Unfathomable. I feel like I'm fucking it up, but y'all know what I'm saying. Um, that's really the main reason why it's hard for me to partake of them as often as, I'm not gonna say as I should, but as I guess should, because again, it's aiding in emotional, mental, and all around great health. So why not? And in the video 2 years ago, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't tried it, even though I'm telling you they taste outrageously nasty, I am not exaggerating. I still think that everybody, not some people, everybody should experience it. And I know that it's extremely taboo, although it's becoming less taboo now in these last couple of years. Isn't that crazy? Than it was, say, like 3 or 4 years ago, or shit, my entire life. I don't recall ever hearing any black person talk about taking trips with psychedelics. And so that's going to take me on another tangent, right? Um, okay, so everything that's high vibrational up until recently has been categorized as like white people shit, including magic mushrooms and tripping, right? Like, that's like, oh no, that's white people drugs. And weed, which is low vibrational, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I'm just basing this off of the effects that it's had on my life. And not just mine, but almost anybody I know. I don't know any successful person who smokes every single day. Do you? I ain't talking about rappers or anything like that. Like, but I mean, just your common Joe. If you guys hear that, that's my cat. She's in heat, and so she's quite annoying. But yeah, so like I was saying, do you know anyone who smokes weed every single day, who's successful, who's not like a rapper or, in the entertainment industry, but like someone who's trying to get their shit together possibly? I don't think so. And so that goes back to what I was saying previously, which is weed is very much so a low vibrational drug. And I think that there's a reason why that shit was put in like every rap song when I was a kid. Like almost everybody I went to high school with, not all of y'all, not all of y'all, but a mass majority of us are all potheads. And we grew up in the era where smoke weed every day or I'm so high. All I like that shit was like programmed that this is what you do. You know what I mean? And we all fell for it. Not all of us. A large majority of us. We fell for it and the effects are shown, you know, like we're living in that shit. And so again, I'm hoping that in the next coming years that psychedelics will not be considered as taboo as they have been, or a white person's drug, you know, or, you know, because when I talk to the average person about it, they like, the fuck? You think I done offered them crack? when I'm saying like, yo, you should try this mushroom. What? Like, I'm telling you, it's really life-changing if you allow it to be. And I know for some, they are aware of the effects of it, which is it's going to allow you, or more so force you, to tap into yourself. And some of us don't want to see what that looks like, you know? And that's unfortunate as well. And that's where I go to. Weed allows you to say, fuck it, right? And forget about the shit. Like, I'm going to smoke this blunt. I ain't going to worry about that shit. I'm going to smoke this blunt. And I get to it when I get to it. Whereas with shrooms, this is definitely not something you want to do and go to work. It is definitely not something that you can do and want to drive a car. But if you have some time to just, to be to yourself or in nature, or with close friends in an environment in which you are comfortable, this shit will allow you to really tap the fuck in. You know what I mean? And I know that could be scary for a lot of people, but it is, without a shadow of a doubt, like one of the best things that I've tried. I mean, shit, it's like therapy in nature. It is nature's fucking therapy. That is what it is. And yeah, so that's essentially where I'm at with it. I'm just like, as much as I love weed, I know that weed don't love me, you know, because this weed I'm smoking, this weed that you're smoking, it ain't the same weed that our grandparents were smoking. And if you are anyone who's woke, you are aware that shit, nature produces things with seeds. The fruit that we're eating, everything, it has a seed. And so if it doesn't, then that is completely man-made and tampered with. And then why the fuck do you want it? I mean, even the mushrooms have spores, you know what I mean? Which are, look, I don't know, but I'm gonna say they're seeds, but it's something that's reproducing. But you know, we want the loudest of the loud, the green, and it ain't got no seed, and that ain't what we need on some Dr. Savvy shit, you know? So, I highly recommend everyone take a trip whenever whenever the opportunity presents itself. Don't be afraid. Allow yourself to tap into yourself, you know? Also challenge you guys to not smoke. And I know that that's probably fucking crazy coming from me. But I challenge you to not smoke for at least, like, if you smoked anything like me, and I know some of you smoke way more than me. Like, I'm not finna, even at my highest peak of smoking, I'm not finna smoke a whole 3-5 in one day, right? Like, that's me. But I've hung out with some people who shit, a 3-5 is they daily smokes. Like, bitch, that's what I smoke in one day, you know? And for those people who smoke like that, or like myself, where 3-5 can last you for like 2 days, you know, maybe 3, you know, I highly recommend just taking a break from it and seeing what your true self looks like without the numbing effect, because that's what weed does. And this isn't bashing, because shit, I still might roll that blunt that I was just telling y'all about, where I'm like, you know, I told you that shit got a chokehold on my ass. I'm just being honest. Um, but I think the balance that I get when I, like I say, when I do shrooms, man, and just the whole around holistic effects that it offered, that we've been convinced that weed does, like we can help with this and it can help with that, and it don't. Not no more. It don't. And it don't help with that shit. I don't care who you are. Like it ain't helping with that shit. I think now we're just comfortable with it, you know? It's like it's a part of who we are. Like the average person's like, yeah, I go, but can I smoke first? Or if you don't want to go somewhere just because you can't smoke there, like I don't want to go to that club. I can't, like that shit that's a lot. Like I can see how my family felt now when I'm around people who feel that way, because that was once me. Like every family event, not some, every single family event, I'm showing up high. And I was like, damn, is it that deep? And for me, it fucking was. Like, why be sober? Because we're not happy and we're all looking for outside tools to aid in that, right? So this was my little rant today, if you will, about the wonders of psychedelics and the questionability of marijuana. And you know, I bid all of you guys to see which one works for you. But I'm like, anytime you see me like in real life, I'm a psychedelic enthusiast, right? For all the reasons that I've showed with you. And this will not be the last time that we talk about them, because I told you my very first trip, I'm like, everybody in the world needs to experience this shit. Like everybody, like you need to experience this shit. And so yeah. And again, this is your dope ass host, Qween Tee. Cutie. Next time these nails will be done, because I do have what we call booty fingers right now. So I appreciate you guys for stopping by for the third episode of the bunny hole. And I greatly appreciate it. You can check us out every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock, sometimes later because I procrastinate. But at the very latest, Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So, you know, but Wednesday, check us out on Wednesdays. You can send in questions or topics that you would like for me to discuss, or join me as a co-host or a guest at thebunnyhole1, the number one, at gmail.com. Go ahead and send in, requests, topics, all of that jazz. You can also follow us at The Bunny Hole on Instagram. And I haven't created a Facebook yet. Soon come. But thank you guys again for tuning in, or hopping in rather, to the third edition of The Bunny Hole.